Hey family, I'm SNwadiei. I'm Habasia, helping your brothers and sisters in Africa. I'm also the Creole griotist. And in that aspect of me, I'm a storyteller, y'all. And I love to tell my stories. Sometimes I have to think how deep I want to go with these stories, because sometimes people's feelings can get hurt. But anyway, how y'all doing today? I hope you're doing fabulous. Guys, today I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. Since who knows who's going to see this video anyway. I told you the algorithm thing is a mystery to me. And no, I do not believe anybody that says that they did something in 6 months and other folks can do it too. Not true, guys. I've been uploading almost religiously for a year, and monetization has yet to find me. Yeah, I got my 1,000 views, 1,000 subscribers and so many views, but not enough to be in the program. And you know what? A while back I decided that wasn't my motivation anyways. My motivation is just to share to the universe. And whether I'm here when it hits the tipping point or not, it doesn't matter. As long as what I say is out in the universe, that's all that's necessary. So anyway, guys, when I started thinking about ideas for this blog today, I was thinking of the all-time favorite, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Because even though we think of it as a myth, most myths are based on some reality, that it's happened quite a lot of times that who they say is the daddy ain't the daddy, whether it's on TV reveals or YouTube reveals or DNA detective reveal. I remember when I was a young girl myself, I used to pull on my mama's skirt and look up at her and say, "Is that my daddy?" Every time she met some new guy that I didn't know about. Well, she was married at the time, and my stepfather and her were together. But I knew from the beginning that he wasn't my father. At least they didn't lie to me on that point, Might have had something to do with I didn't look nothing like him. Even if you imagine having him and my mother together, it just wouldn't make a me. And so I remember embarrassing the you-know-what out of her over and over again. And finally one day when I asked her, "Is that my daddy?" she said, "Yeah." And guys, in my little 5-year-old mind, I was thinking, are you sure? Because this guy did not fit the description of my perfect daddy that I had inside of my head. He was an elevator operator, y'all. I know a lot of y'all youngsters don't know what that is, but for the people my age, they know. What made the elevator go up and down back in the day wasn't pushing a button. It was a human being. And the human being would make this little crank go from left to right and right to left. And it had little notches on it in between for each floor. So anyway, that's what he did at this store in Galveston that my grandmother used to love, and my mama, I-Band's store. It's no longer there, y'all. But anyway, I remember when I asked her the famous or infamous question, is that my daddy? And she said, yeah. Well, when he got his break, he took me across the street to Walgreens and bought me some candy, 3 for 10 cents, I think. Back then it was like generic lifesavers. So at least I thought of his meeting as semi-sweet, you know. But inside of my head still, I was like, how's a high yellow person? Would a high yellow person make a chocolate man? I just didn't know how that worked. I never believed in the stork, y'all, you know. So anyway, y'all, let's just say growing up was not too cool with this person. He did his best as a play daddy, you know, but he just was terrible at playing his role. His family was not a nice family. No storybook time there. No personality like me at all. Just kind of rough around the edges and in the middle too. Even my grandmother from him was a gangster, y'all. She wouldn't let my cousins stay with me when I had bragged on them having what? Running water, y'all, and an indoor toilet that flushed. It's like all you had to do to make me happy was let my cousins stay with me, my own age, so I'd have company there while my grandmother went to her people's house on the other side of town with the no running water in the house and an outhouse. But when she said you can stay and she can't, I was heartbroken and cried all the way back to Texas. I was thinking, how could that be my grandmother? Don't act nothing like me. So anyway, let's speed it all up there, y'all. Till my mother was with the ancestors and all, and I decided to do DNA testing in honor actually of my grandmother, because she used to always say, we not Africans, we Indians. And I say, what kind, mother? And she said, I don't know, just Indians. Okay, so I did the DNA test for that, and it said, no, you do not match anybody that has DNA in the United States that's considered an indigenous person in this country. So that was that. I had taken tests from the National Geographic that said I was an L2, and so it showed on a map where in Africa my people started, you know, like the second oldest people in the universe, and said we started almost in the middle of the motherland and started traveling westward. Okay, so let's just say that was the National Geographic test. Then I had like a family tree DNA. I took an African ancestry, and they said you are a T-car from Cameroon. You match the T-cars in Cameroon. And then all that's debatable, because when I look it up, it says it's no people called T-car. That is a T-car language though. And that makes no sense, because how you get a T-car language if it's no people that's called T-car? So it's all confusing data. But nevertheless, I have traveled to Cameroon and interacted with the people doing T-car, which was advertised as a T-car festival, and received the name as Ngunguri. And then, of course, somebody tried to bust my bubble, send me a instant messenger and said, no, it's not a real T-car name, but they know somebody, and I can get a real new T-car name. And I told them, that's okay, I'm good. It's like, if you know that the person don't know, that they just got the information from somebody, what good is it to tell them that that wasn't true? That they done spent all their money going on that tour and people lied to them. It's like, what would make you think that I don't know you either, that I would even trust what you say, that you know somebody else that's a real T-car leader? It's like, you know what? If I don't ask for that, y'all could keep all the excess information. So I have enough names, y'all. I was married to a Nigerian, so I'm a SNwadiei. I'll have that for life. Like I've said in other videos, the majority of my DNA is Nigerian anyway. And a lot of Nigerians have British names because they was colonized for a long time. So my name fits right in, SNwadiei. No problems with that. I've been with the Hebrew Israelites before for a year in Atlanta, Congregation of the Tabernacle Israel. So I'm Shmula to them, or Shamela to them. I know when I went to the Nikkei Art Gallery, she gave me some name that you just pull out of the basket, at least the people that work at her art gallery. So if I wanted to, I could use that name, which I don't choose to. I'm telling you, lots of names. And then I remember when I went to an ancient language conference, they also gave me a different ancient language Hebrew Israelite name that I would have to find where it's written so I could tell y'all that name too. But the only name that I use on a daily basis is SNwadiei. I have no motivation or desire to use Sefo Akua Mansa, which is my chieftaincy title in Ghana, on a daily basis. It was a nice honor for doing philanthropy in Ghana. But I'm good, y'all. I couldn't keep up with the Joneses if I wanted to. I don't have that kind of money to be doing all that stuff that's required to hang out with the chiefs on a daily basis. So to me, it was like queen for a day, you know. But anyway, guys, that's how things goes with me. Guys, I had to pause for a while because one of my neighbors was getting in her car and she's slow as molasses. And I know that her opening the car door and starting the car engine, etc., would be very distracting. So I just paused it for a minute. But anyway, like I was saying about the names, the only one I use on a daily basis is what? SNwadiei. And of course, some of you guys only hear the part, I'm Habasia. So a lot of people at the Gabriel would walk up to me and say, I know you, you're Habasia. Well, anyway, y'all, it's pronounced Habasia. It's not my name, it's who I am, because Habasia is my baby, y'all. My non-profit organization, helping your brothers and sisters in Africa. It's an acronym, y'all. So, as calling me as a singular name, it's Stephanie. If you want to put any handles on it, it's up to you guys. But I'll answer, whether it's Stephanie or whatever. I'll even answer to Habasia if that's what you could remember. But I'll let you know my name is really Stephanie. But my channel is, I'm SNwadiei. I'm Habasia. Because I wanted to label my nonprofit with me as a brand, because of some long story for other day that happened to the Habasia brand before I did that. But anyway, guys, like I was saying about identity issues, not just for me, you know, lots of people. Instead of the mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Lots of us also have issues of, am I adopted? So the mama's baby is also a question mark, because you don't act anything like anybody in your family. So it's like, who are you really? Who are you really? Are people just loving you and trying to spare you who you really are? You know, who who your people are, your DNA wise. But I could not make it fit because it's like, why would poor people adopt anybody? And I know even with the new kind of adoptions they have, they actually pay the foster parents to adopt. And my mother was never a foster parent. You know, in fact, when she had me, she was living with her parents. So she went from her mother and father's house to her husband's house. So she didn't fit that criteria. So the DNA was good for me to identify me with my own mother because we didn't act alike. When I did the DNA, it matched me with both my mother's father's people lots of times and my mother's people lots of times. So I was definitely not adopted in her family, you know. And I'm glad she's not alive, because if I'd have did a DNA test on her and find out she wasn't my mother, then I'd have to find out which one of her sisters was my mother, you know. And that would have been a heartbreaking, because even though she wasn't a party animal, she was the only mother I knew. I was exposed to my aunts and uncles all the time growing up. So anyway, so it's not like I missed anything by being around anybody that was her siblings. I saw them all the time anyway. But anyway, guys, that's the thing I'd like to say. Whatever you got going, if you know the truth, please just tell the kids the truth from the beginning. And if you can't find the courage to tell them the truth as a child, at least for the love of the Most High, tell them as an adult at least. Leave a letter so if you go, they can open it when you're gone and find out their story. People shouldn't have to do a DNA test to find out who they are. And for all the people who don't believe in DNA tests, that's just your choice. Because I'm telling you, my DNA test said what? My son was my son. It said my uncle was a close relative. It said that my cousin, who I know is my first cousin, his daughter, who was a secret, was showing up as my second cousin. My cousin that is my first cousin, her daughter showed up as my second cousin. So it's been accurate for me, y'all, with people that I already know their relationships to me, that I grew up with all my life. So I don't know why they call that a lie test. For me, it surely was not. The only thing I ever questioned was the T-card thing, because they mixed us all up in the United States. All these different groups, they mixed them because they did not want them to keep their culture and didn't want them to retain their language. And that's how you do it, is to just mix them up and forbid them to say their own names even, and ban them worshiping their own gods and goddesses. So the religion that we have, you know, a lot of times is just retentions from our enslavement from the past and our colonization. No matter how you dice it or slice it, whenever people conquer you, your ancestors end up having to do what they had to do for survival. And then after a while, we forget and we think that it's the best because that's all we know. That's what one of my teachers told me. He said people like what they know. Even though if you would learn better, you might not like that because it's not what you know. If you found out that your ancestors was forced under threat of death to stop worshiping their gods and goddesses, maybe you wouldn't think so highly of the religion that was forced on them at point of death and think that that was better than what they was practicing in the first place. Because lots of things have happened to us in the name of what the oppressor wanted us to do, because it was about them making more profit off of us, that's all. And even during colonization, the whole thing also was to dehumanize somebody, so you feel okay about not paying them and doing all kind of awful stuff to them because you had taken away their humanity. So anyway, guys, all I can say is I'm glad that I did the DNA test, and I'm glad that from the DNA test I acquired a whole new half of the family. I was relieved when I found out that the first family of the elevator operator was not my daddy. He had done lots of other things after that, some good stuff, like going back to school as an adult and not missing a day and all that. So, you know, I was trying to at least grasp at straws and say I took after him because I like school and I like to read. But y'all, listen to what my DNA dad actually did. And as you could say, nature versus nurture. I know I took after him too. It says, this is from the Galveston Daily News after I researched it out of the archives. And it says, Negro wrestler dies in wreck, writes Thursday. Hold on, y'all. Oh, I was waiting for the car to finally move. It's like they heat up their cars around here like it's winter time, y'all. Your mother don't need to warm up in the summertime before you take off. I don't understand these people. But anyway, here goes. Says Negro wrestler dies in wreck, writes Thursday. Funeral services for Charles Edward Spencer Jr., Negro wrestler of 1107 Avenue K, who was killed Tuesday morning in an automobile accident near Alexandria, Louisiana. It will be held at 8 p.m. Thursday at the Live Oak Baptist Church, 36th Street and Avenue H. The Reverend C.Q. Foster will officiate at the service. Young Spencer, who was 22 at the time of his death, was well known in Galveston, having won the state Negro Wrestling Championship here in 1953, which is the year I was born, y'all. Oh. He was a graduate of Central High in 1948. Since his graduation, Charles Spencer had attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., where he had been a pre-medical student and held the Collegiate Interscholastic Athletic Association Championship. Now, guys, that was as good as movie star status back in the day for a black man. Yes, it was. You know, it was for back then. To actually be in the Galveston Daily News, that was something special for back then. I wish they would have had a picture to go along with that story. I'm still searching, y'all, for pictures. This is one picture of him. Yeah. Yeah, I do at least have his features. I don't know about the ears sticking out, y'all. They don't stick out. But, you know, I've been pinning them down for the longest, I guess. And it's so funny having a dad who you only have a high school picture of, and that's all. I'm glad I found out that he had done so much good things in his life, in his little life. You know, he seemed like, oh, my baby, instead of my dad, because he died so young. He's as young as some of my young grandchildren. And far as I'm concerned, when you dead, you don't age. You just died at that age. But I do hope that he's with the ancestors, even though he died at a young age. I don't know what happens after you die, for real. I don't know. Like my grandmother say, nobody died and came back. It told me nothing. But I will assume that he'll be amongst the ancestors. Now my mama, I had to look for the youngest pictures I could find of her, because it's hard for me to coincide in my head them together with all the pictures I had when she was older. So you see, this is on Galveston Beach, when Galveston was Little Africa, essentially. And there's my mama right there in her dress, child. You know, it had to be the weekend, baby. And she was out there enjoying herself amongst the people. That was on 2829 Beach, close to the Pleasure Pier. And then this is a picture with her with my uncle, Anthony. And he actually did go to Central High School with my dad. And he told me about my dad, even though he said they wasn't no friends, but they was homies, you know. And he said the stuff that guys would do, that was all in the same sports, you know, when they go to parties and hang out at the, what he called the stag parties. He said that they was there. And he said not that they was tight buddies, but yeah, they was all took sports together, and he was younger than my dad. And he, you know, they was all hanging out together. So it was nice knowing that. And my uncle said he actually did go to some of my dad's wrestling matches at the city auditorium. So he was like a little star in Galveston, and probably in Texas, you know. So it's nice to know your family background, even if it would have had turned out with bad information. But in my case, I lucked out and got somebody who was actually intelligent and smart and had done so much in his lifetime that I thought my cousin on his side was lying when she told me about her older cousin, because she knew my dad when she was a little kid, because she was raised in his parents' house, which was her grandparents. On her mama's or daddy's side, I can't remember now what she told me, you know. But I just know that her grandmother was my grandfather's sister. So that's how we're cousins. But yeah, she told me about my dad, and I'm like, she full of stuff. Who does all of that before they're 22? And she actually thought he wasn't even in Galveston, you know, when I was born. But yeah, he was. We researched the files and all. The census was taken. He was there for some years even before I was born. So I don't know what happened with the story of him, you know, after he went away to college. I don't know. But yes, he definitely was around, and he even won a wrestling championship the year that I was born. So I can imagine that he would be happy knowing that I turned out okay, in spite of the fact of not knowing him, but of knowing the fact that it's nature versus nurture. So sometimes even if you're not around people, it doesn't matter, because they are in you, in here, you know, because of DNA. So I do like books. I love taking classes, because I want to make more neural pathways, because I don't want to get Alzheimer's or organic brain. And I found out that's one of the ways to at least delay symptoms. I try to eat some of the superfoods to prevent that from happening, etc., etc. But anyway, guys, all my plea is that we as a people quit having all these secrets and lies. It's better to tell people the truth, no matter what the truth is, than to make up a story. I even know somebody who would rather give somebody a criminal for their dad than to just say, I don't know. I mean, You could attach somebody to a negative family forever just because you want to patch up your pride. And I don't know how that's patching up your pride, having somebody go and visit a penitentiary all the time just to say they have a daddy and they not even really related. I don't understand that, but different strokes, I guess. But I'm just pleading with you guys. If you know the truth, please share the truth with the people that it actually matter to. People need to stop all of this. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. We don't want to think that we're adopted because we don't act like anybody in the family. You know, we need to know the truth. We deserve to know the truth, you know. That's what I say. We deserve to know the truth. So, if we adopted, just say you're adopted, you know, and get a person whatever information they can have so they won't be shocked by their revelation when they do a DNA test. And they may very well do it, you know. It's very economical now to do a DNA test. Yeah, if you know, please tell the person. And if you don't know, tell the person. They can do the DNA test earlier. You know, might get to see the person before they die. In my case, my dad died when I was only 1 year old, so that part wouldn't have helped. But I had grandparents, y'all, that I didn't get to see. I have cousins that I didn't get to grow up. I might have had a sister, I don't know, that died, you know, without my ever meeting her. I might have a nephew that I don't know. Why? Because somebody wants to tell him first. And he's a grown man, y'all. He's a lawyer even, so how is it going to affect him like he's a 5-year-old? But people always think that they know what's best for you. So instead of just letting him know, and he could just do a DNA test himself and see if he matches me, you know? But instead for somebody else to think they know better than that person with not even telling him, you know, and if she did tell him, she didn't give the information back to me. You know, I think it's up to that person to decide what they want to do with the information instead of keep trying to stretch the secret out like you're protecting somebody. It's not protection, guys. Grown people need to know the truth, and children do too, but that's up to whoever is their guardian or parent to decide for that. But anyway, guys, I was just having my say, sharing some of the truths of my beginnings with y'all. It's not unusual. It's plenty of groups online where they have DNA groups, and people my age, older and younger, are finding their families of origin, and they're happy, y'all, because they finding people that look like them, people that act like them. It's not that you don't love the family that raises you, because you do. We can form relationships with people that we don't share bloodlines with. We can always feed somebody till they look like us. But some of the stuff that we need to feed them to is what? The truth, y'all. The truth. The truth should be something that you give people, like you give them food, because it's knowledge. Give them the true word, the living word. Truth matters. And if we learned how to do that, it will make us all better as human beings. And I'm talking to somebody who didn't know my origins until I was an old adult. Because I was in one of these DNA groups, and this lady who was a very distant cousin, who I'm sure only contacted me because of my last name, thinking she was contacting some DNA African cousin. And she asked me to take an ancestry test. And I told her all the other tests I took, and she said, oh, just try one more time with the ancestry test. And when I did, Eureka! I found out about my birth father. Not with any DNA angel, because he was too gangster, y'all. Invasive, asking people questions who really wasn't interested in being relatives of mine. They just wanted to fill out paperwork on a family tree. And I didn't really want to exchange any information with somebody who didn't want a relationship. Didn't matter the bloodline. I want to see a picture first before I exchange even any verbal word with anybody, any extra text with anybody. Because I only see a person as a person that's willing to share at least their face with me. Because my post on my ancestry.com has my face. Has my face. No emoji, no blank. My face. And if somebody not willing to share that minimal information so I could see them as a human being, well, that's okay. We don't have to have any relationship at all. Because I am more than you completing your DNA family tree paperwork. Now, some people just addicted to the paperwork. They don't could care less about people. Just filling out their genealogy paperwork. Well, guess what? Not all of us originated from kings and queens. Some of us are just regular old people. And that's fine, y'all. That's fine. But learn to make some sense when you're trying to find out the truth. Treat people like you want to be treated. If somebody is saying they just want a picture so they can make contact, and you already saw their picture when you reached out to them. So it's just fair for them to see your picture too. You know, it's nothing they can do to hurt you. You're a grown person. Nobody can hurt you. Nobody wants anything from you. Grown people don't need nothing from each other. They've been existing before anybody else even knew of their existence. Like they say, I am because you are, and all of that Ubuntu stuff. Well, guess what? We're here whether that other person connects with us or not. We always were here, and we'll keep being here. One relationship, don't stop, no show. So anyway, guys, I hope I just gave y'all some food for thought. So if you know somebody, oh, forgive me, this ad just decided to just take over my screen. Me being out in nature, sorry y'all. But anyway, if you know somebody that this applies to or it applies to yourself, please encourage them to share what? The word, the truth, with the person that it'll make a difference to. All these secrets and lies need to stop. We cannot have unity in a community if we don't just have truth starting in our family. And anyway, guys, just food for thought. Until next time, y'all, peace, peace, power to the people, and I'm out, y'all. Bye.